The gavel slammed. Silence filled the courtroom like a heavy fog. Mara's hands shook as she gripped the bench, her heart hammering against ribs she thought would hold her steady. Every eye in the room seemed to bore into her chest, accusing. A single unexpected verdict echoed, twisting hope into raw fear. She could feel her pulse in her ears, loud, erratic. "I can't lose this," she whispered, clutching the unread letter in her bag. Across the room, the warm comforter leaned forward, offering a calm smile that barely touched his eyes. Mara's gaze flicked to the empty chair beside the judge. Someone important had vanished. A phone buzzed sharply in her pocket. She froze. Who was calling at this hour? Mara's fingers hovered over the buzzing phone. Every instinct screamed not to answer. The letter pressed against her chest, weighty and unread, tethered her to a past she couldn't escape. She glanced at the steady anchor across the hall, his eyes sharp, unreadable. Could she trust him? The courtroom's murmurs faded, replaced by the hum of the old ceiling fan. Footsteps approached. Someone was coming, someone she didn't expect. A door creaked, breaking the brittle silence. Fear tangled with curiosity. Should she finally confront the past she had buried so deeply? The footsteps grew louder, echoing off cold stone walls. Mara's heart raced, every nerve alive. She caught a glimpse of the reluctant fire starter darting behind a pillar, eyes wide, restless energy like a coiled spring. What did they know? Why were they here now? The letters in her bag whispered of secrets yet untold. She tried to steady her breath, counting the seconds between steps. Each beat felt like a trap snapping closed. Could she face what was coming without unraveling completely? A soft whisper grazed Mara's ear. She froze, blood rushing in her temples. The warm comforter's voice, calm and steady, hinted at truths she wasn't ready to hear. Shadows shifted in the corners, threatening to swallow her resolve. The unread letter burned against her ribs, a silent demand for action. Outside, rain tapped rhythmically against high windows, a pulse sensing with her own. Every instinct told her danger was near, but curiosity clawed relentlessly. What had been hidden for so long now demanded reckoning. The courtroom clock ticked loudly, each second a hammer against her resolve. Mara's eyes darted to the letter once more, fingers brushing its seal. A shadow crossed the doorway. The velvet blade had arrived, poised and unyielding. The room seemed to constrict, walls pressing inward. Every breath felt stolen, every heartbeat a countdown. She realized that nothing would remain the same after this moment. Could she survive the revelation about to unfold? Or was she already trapped in a story she had no control over? Mara sprinted through the narrow alley, rain slicking cobblestones beneath her feet. Shouts echoed behind her. Someone was chasing. Her breath came in ragged bursts, heart hammering. "Stop following me," she yelled, voice raw, but footsteps only grew closer. The reluctant fire starter appeared ahead, motioning urgently to turn left. A flicker of doubt crossed Mara's mind. Could she trust them? Neon signs flickered overhead, reflecting in puddles, throwing distorted shadows across the walls. Every corner threatened concealment, danger hiding in plain sight. A distant siren wailed, slicing through the night. Mara twisted a key in her pocket, a clue she'd discovered, and froze. What did it mean? Who else knew? They ducked into an abandoned warehouse, dripping rainwater tracing lines down their faces. Mara leaned against a steel column, chest heaving, trying to steady her thoughts. The reluctant fire starter crouched nearby, sketchpad clutched, whispering fragmented warnings. "They're watching everything," he said, eyes darting. Silence fell, only broken by the distant drip of water. Mara studied the letter again, realizing the symbols inside might point to someone they both trusted. A faint light flickered across the broken windows, signaling movement outside. Could this refuge last? Or were they already trapped? A shadow passed over the broken doorway. Mara stiffened. The velvet blade had arrived. Calm, deliberate, their presence carried control, like a weight pressing into the room. Mara's mind raced. Every move calculated, every escape route anticipated. "You shouldn't have come here." The velvet blade's voice cut through the darkness, soft but lethal. Mara swallowed hard, feeling trapped. The floorboards groaned beneath the unseen footsteps outside. Every breath she took seemed monitored, every glance scrutinized. Could she outsmart someone who already controlled the game? A soft voice called from the corner. The steady anchor stepped forward, calm and steady, offering a guiding presence amid chaos. Mara's shoulders eased slightly, but tension lingered. "You can't face this alone," he said quietly, eyes unwavering. He gestured to a map pinned on the wall, pointing out hidden paths Mara had overlooked. Each revelation stirred fear and hope in equal measure. Memories of past mistakes gnawed at her. Could she trust someone whose loyalty had always been unquestioned? He paused, letting the weight of his warning hang. "Every choice has a price," he added. Would she be ready to pay it? Would she be ready to pay it? Mara gripped the letter tightly, rainwater dripping from her hair, resolve hardening. The clues had led here and there was no turning back. The reluctant firestarter nudged her forward, eyes wide with urgency. "They're moving faster than we thought," he whispered. Every step felt like a choice between survival and betrayal. The warehouse doors rattled as the wind slammed against them, echoing the storm outside. Mara inhaled sharply, feeling fear and determination collide. She knew what had to be done: act or lose everything. She stepped toward the exit, heart pounding, ready for whatever came next. For a moment the warehouse felt like sanctuary. Mara sank into a crate, wet hair plastered to her face, chest rising and falling. The steady anchor offered tea, calm smile masking something she couldn't name. Reluctant firestarter fidgeted with a sketchpad, glances darting toward shadows Mara hadn't noticed. "Everything's fine," steady anchor said, voice low. But his hands trembled ever so slightly. Outside, rain pelted metal sheets, rhythm uneven, almost warning. Mara sipped the tea, eyes scanning for hidden threats, mind racing. Something wasn't right. The warmth felt hollow, like smoke filling lungs that knew it wasn't air. A quiet lull settled, allowing fleeting trust. Mara leaned closer to steady anchor, voice lowered. "I can't keep doing this alone," she confessed, eyes glinting with fatigue and hope. He nodded, touched light on her arm, reassuring but restrained. Reluctant firestarter whispered theories about hidden observers, his voice betraying nervous excitement. Mara smiled faintly, a fragile bond forming. Yet her instincts prickled. Glances exchanged seemed too careful, words layered with meaning. A shadow moved outside the window, unnoticed. Was it chance, or an omen? The calm held, but only for a heartbeat. The warehouse doors creaked again, a silhouette appearing, the velvet blade. Calm and deliberate, they carried an aura of authority, every movement precise. Mara's stomach twisted. The presence mirrored what she feared in herself: calculation and control. "You think you can fix this your way," the velvet blade said, voice low, measured. Mara swallowed, mind spinning. Could she face someone so like her, yet so unyielding? Ideals clashed silently, conviction versus pragmatism. A subtle smile curved the antagonist's lips, challenging Mara without moving a step closer. Was she fighting a person, or a reflection of what she could become? The steady anchor's hand hovered, then slammed the crate shut between Mara and the reluctant firestarter. "I can't let this go any further," he said, voice tight, betrayal sharp in each syllable. Mara's chest heaved. Shock rooted her to the ground. "Why?" she whispered, disbelief in every syllable. Firestarter scrambled, eyes wide, trying to understand. Mara's knees gave way slightly, the letter slipping from her grasp. Trust shattered like glass underfoot, reflections of loyalty broken in fragments. The warehouse seemed to close in, every shadow now a threat. Mara realized everything she believed was wrong. Someone had been guiding the enemy all along. Silence fell, heavy and suffocating. Mara knelt beside the letter, rain still dripping through broken roof panels, each drop echoing in her chest. The betrayal carved a hollow ache she couldn't ignore. The velvet blade's figure lingered at the doorway, watching, calculating. Mara's mind raced through every moment, realizing patterns she had missed, manipulation hidden in plain sight. She inhaled sharply, rising with resolve. Revenge or reckoning, it didn't matter yet. She had to act. Steps measured, breath steadying, she moved toward the exit, determination igniting her every motion. The next phase would define everything. The warehouse lay quiet, rain slowing to a soft patter on broken windows. Mara sank onto the cold floor. The fallen letter pressed to her chest. Thoughts collided. Steady anchors, betrayal. Velvet blades, silent scrutiny. Every subtle clue now screaming clarity. Light flickered across scattered crates, shadows twisting like reminders of broken trust. She breathed slowly, counting heartbeats, letting the emptiness settle. Every drip from the roof echoed against her mind. The letter's symbols, once cryptic, now hinted at someone orchestrating everything. Could this finally reveal the puppeteer? A flash of memory struck. Mara's first discovery of the letter's symbols, hidden in her apartment months ago. The smell of rain on concrete, the metallic tang of ink, the faint creak of her door closing. Voices overlapped, present and past blending. Velvet blades, calm instructions, steady anchors, casual assurances. Every gesture, every glance now unveiled deception. "I never wanted you to see this," whispered a memory, sharp and cold. Mara's chest tightened, stomach dropping. The foundation of trust crumbled. Someone had planned this from the beginning, and it cut deeper than any gavel could. The warehouse door creaked. Mara's gaze snapped to the velvet blade, silent, poised, calculating. Heart hammering, breath shallow, she rose, stepping toward them. The blade's expression betrayed nothing. Eyes cold, measured. "Do you see now?" came the soft, deliberate voice. Mara's mind raced. Every betrayal, every clue, every manipulation converged here. Hesitation gripped her, but clarity sharpened her resolve. This confrontation wasn't about revenge yet. It was about understanding the truth. What she saw in the blade mirrored what she feared in herself. The story's purpose had shifted. The velvet blade's lips curved into a faint, knowing smile. "You think I am the enemy," she said, calm, precise. "But the world shaped us, every choice, every secret. Do you see now? The real enemy is everywhere and nowhere." Mara staggered back, disbelief coiling in her chest. Every certainty unraveled, steady anchor. The fire starter, even herself. Could the truth she sought ever exist in a world built on shadows and manipulation? Light fell unevenly across the crates, splitting the warehouse into sharp contrasts. Mara realized the battlefield was not outside. It had always been inside her. Mara sank to her knees, rain dripping from the broken roof above, heartbeat echoing. Truth weighed heavy, bitter, undeniable, reshaping her world. She exhaled slowly, letting despair mix with clarity. Fingers brushed the letter, now a guide and a burden. "So this was the truth all along," she whispered, voice soft but resolute. Shadows stretched, then contracted, light shifting as if acknowledging her understanding. Rising, shoulders squared, she felt the first spark of agency. Pain remained, but now so did purpose. Ahead lay confrontation, decisions, and the reckoning she could no longer avoid. Rain hammered the warehouse roof, each drop striking like a warning. Mara's eyes scanned the shadows, muscles coiled, breath shallow. Footsteps approached, slow, deliberate, echoing off cold concrete. Her pulse raced, every heartbeat a drum of fear and resolve. The velvet blade stood at the far end, calm, poised, their gaze fixed. Mara's fingers brushed the letter in her pocket, heart hammering, mind racing. Silence thickened, pressing against her ears, punctuated only by the storm outside. Every instinct screamed action, yet hesitation lingered. Then the blade stepped forward, and the air seemed to crack. "Your way will ruin everything," Mara spat, voice sharp, echoing against steel beams. "And your way controls nothing." The blade countered, voice steady, eyes glinting. They lunged at each other, steps rapid, limbs taut, the storm outside synchronizing with their clash. Rain splashed against faces, wind whipping hair and clothes. Mara dodged, narrowly avoiding a strike, heartbeat thundering. Philosophies collided as violently as fists. Control versus freedom, survival versus morality. Every movement carried intention. Every glance weighed trust and suspicion. Could they end this without losing themselves entirely? A scream cut through the chaos. Reluctant Firestarter had been caught in the crossfire. Mara's eyes widened, blood rushing hot and cold. She lunged, but he staggered, clutching a wound, face pale with shock and pain. "Go, finish it," he gasped, voice trembling. Silence fell around the storm, broken only by distant thunder. Mara's chest tightened. The cost was real, the loss immediate. Tears blurred her vision as she realized victory required sacrifice. Heart hammering, grief and fury mingling, she steeled herself. Nothing would be the same. Everything demanded resolution. Mara faced the velvet blade fully, drenched, every breath visible, muscles screaming, eyes locked. "This ends now," she shouted, voice raw. Echo bouncing across the metal walls. The blade countered, calm, precise, advancing steadily. Their clash was brutal. Metal and concrete, motion and resistance, fire and rain, light slicing through darkness. Each strike carried history, betrayal, and truth. Mara pivoted, parried, lunged, feeling pain, fear, and rage coursing. A scream echoed behind her. With one final push, she disarmed, eyes blazing, decision exact, and the storm outside seemed to pause. The confrontation reached its peak, fate balanced on a knife's edge. The storm eased, leaving silence heavy as clouds parted slightly. Mara stood, chest heaving, clothes soaked and torn, eyes scanning the aftermath. The velvet blade lay still, defeated yet dignified. Reluctant Firestarter leaned weakly against a crate, pale but alive. Mara's hands trembled as she lifted the letter, fingers brushing wet edges. The warehouse smelled of rain and iron, echoes of battle fading. She exhaled slowly, letting adrenaline drain, grief and relief mingling. "It's over for now," she whispered. A new resolve burned quietly within, tempered by loss, ready for whatever came next. The warehouse lay silent, smoke curling into the pale morning light. Mara sat among broken crates, rain still dripping through the roof. The storm outside had passed, leaving a quiet tremor in the air. Every heartbeat felt loud, echoing against steel and concrete. Fingers grazed the letter she still held. The emptiness inside mirrored the shattered space around her. The velvet blade was gone, the battlefield quiet. She exhaled, noticing the things she had lost. The trust, the certainty, the safety she once knew. Silence held her tightly, heavy yet comforting, letting grief sink in. Mara traced memories in her mind. Each moment of the chase, the betrayals, the small kindnesses. The sound of dripping water echoed like heartbeat reminders of those she lost. "It doesn't feel like victory," she whispered, voice low, almost swallowed by the morning light. Flashes of the reluctant fire starter's wide eyes and steady anchor's last warning surfaced, brief, haunting. Her chest ached, but understanding followed grief. Life would continue differently now, heavier and more fragile. Clarity arrived slowly, like sunlight piercing through clouds, illuminating both truth and sorrow. Reluctant Firestarter reappeared, leaning weakly against a crate, pale and trembling, but alive. "I thought I'd lost it all," he whispered, voice fragile. Mara knelt beside him, hand resting lightly on his shoulder, heart heavy. Time slowed as she absorbed his presence, the chaos of the past echoing in memory. His eyes glimmered with a mix of fear and relief. Mara's mind traced the journey, loss, betrayal, and small victories threading together. She nodded silently, acknowledging pain and courage. Closure came not in words, but in shared breath and quiet recognition. The steady anchor's last words echoed in Mara's memory, lingering like a ghost. "Every choice carries weight, but we shape our own path." She imagined his calm presence, his steady guidance, even in betrayal. The lesson was timeless, etched in every scar, every compromise. Mara exhaled slowly, feeling a tear trace her cheek, a small smile breaking through. She understood now. Their legacy was in what remained, in the strength she carried forward. Knowledge tempered grief, and the world felt slightly more balanced, though shadows lingered. Mara rose slowly, letter in hand, feeling the weight of everything endured. The warehouse smelled faintly of rain and metal, silence settling like a cloak. She exhaled, voice soft. "Now I understand." Every scar, every loss, every betrayal shaped her resolve. The world had shifted, but she had found footing. One step forward, deliberate and quiet, carried both grief and strength. Light filtered through the broken roof, painting wet floors golden. She walked toward the exit, ready for what came next, knowing peace was fragile but possible. The city held its breath. Dawn light seeped through broken windows, dust motes floating lazily in the quiet air. Mara stood still, eyes tracing the remnants of destruction, heart heavy with what had been lost. Silence pressed against her ears, every echo a reminder of absence. She exhaled slowly, letting grief wash over her, fingers brushing the letter she still held. Every scar, every betrayal, every fleeting moment of trust lingered. The question remained unspoken, hovering. Was it worth it? Light shifted across the floor, revealing fragments of hope beneath the ruin. Mara walked slowly toward the broken exit, letter clutched loosely, steps deliberate, echoing against cold concrete. Rain had stopped, puddles reflecting the pale sky. She paused at the threshold, exhaling deeply, accepting the weight of every choice made. Behind her, shadows of the past lingered, then dissolved as the light grew. Her motion was quiet but purposeful, a symbolic leaving, a departure from pain into clarity. No words were needed. Only the movement told the story. Each step carried the lessons learned, the losses endured, the resolve she now bore. A faint recording played from the abandoned crate. A voice long gone, warm, guiding. "Remember who you are," it whispered, layered with past memories, overlapping with Mara's breathing. Time slowed, each second stretching, echoing her journey. Faces of those lost shimmered in memory, brief flashes of joy, fear, trust, and sacrifice. She pressed the letter to her chest, letting the voices linger. A soft smile curved her lips, recognizing the legacy left behind. Everything connected. The past, the betrayal, the triumph. She whispered back, almost to herself, "I'll carry it forward." Outside, the world moved on. People emerged cautiously, tentative smiles, and quiet steps marking a new rhythm. Mara observed from the warehouse threshold, body relaxed but alert, mind tracing the echoes of what had been endured. Birds called faintly, wind shifted softly, light dancing across the cityscape. She whispered, a quiet acknowledgement. "We made it this far." Moments stretched, showing passage of time, recovery, small beginnings, the fragile return of normalcy. Change had come quietly, but unmistakably. She felt both loss and hope intertwining in the morning air. Mara lifted the letter once more, holding it to the sky as sunlight fell across her face. Silence embraced the moment, deep and eternal. She exhaled slowly, letting grief and hope mingle. Fingers unclenched, letting the weight fall away. A single line escaped, barely audible. Truth must never be owned. Light shifted, shadows softened, and for a heartbeat, the world paused. The journey had ended, yet the echo of choices, courage, and scars lingered, an eternal imprint on both Mara and the city around her.